Okay, so for this video, I want to show you how to build a page using Divi from scratch. So besides using the pre-made templates, I want to show you how to actually start from a blank page and completely build it out yourself. So the first thing that we're going to do is create the actual page that you want to build. So say we want to build an about page. So what you can do, there are a couple ways you can do this. You can come to the top here, there's like a little plus sign that says new, and you can just choose page and start there. Or you can come to the left and hover over pages and come down to add new. And once you do that, you'll get just some information that pops up. And here we're going to add our title. So we'll just put about. And then I'm going to select to use the Divi builder. And you'll see it start to work, and you'll see the different options here. And for this example, we're going to choose Start Building from Scratch on the left. And you'll see just a blank page with your header and footer there, but the center is completely blank, and this is where we're going to start just building out everything. So to start out with, the way that Divi works is that there are different sections that you can build. So typically the background section is going to be the section. That is like the proper term for it, the section. This is where you can put like a background image or a background color or video or something that you want to take the entire background to make like full width. And then we have the row, which is going to be this little green plus sign here. You're going to add in a row, and here we can decide kind of what you want the layout to be like. So if you want it to just be one big row across, or if you want to do like 50-50, maybe have like an image on one side and then text on the other, or if you want to do like 3 separate sections, you can do that. They have all these different options here. So I'm just going to click the full size one row. And then from there, you'll see the module option. And the module shows up as a little gray circle with the plus sign. And this is where you're actually going to choose what kind of content you want to go inside of that row. And Divi has all of these different options here that you can start with and just make your own. So you can completely play around here, but the most common is going to be just the text module, or maybe like an image, or depending on the page and what you want to use it for, there'll be different options, but typically the most common are going to be like your image, your text, and then if you do any sort of like testimonial, that's really popular, and also I think it's the accordion. I use the accordion a lot for like frequently asked questions, where you have the question and then you can expand and like a whole little section opens up and you'll get the answer. So I use that a lot. But let's just start with text. So I'm going to click on text there, and you'll see just some sample text pop up, and you'll also get this little pop-up box that has everything that you need. So it's going to have the actual text that you want on the screen. It's going to have some different options here, like a background color, if you wanted to put like a color here behind it. And then after you typically do whatever text you want on this section, you will come over to the design tab, and this is where you'll change all of the design settings. So if we come to text, we can go ahead and see all the different options here. So we can make everything uppercase, we can change the size, we can, create like a shadow, change the alignment, do a bunch of fun things. We can make it bold, so on and so forth. And then we can even do things like mess with the border. So if you want to put like maybe a border across, like around all of your text, we can do a drop shadow. We want to put like a little shadow behind there. Change the color. If you ever want to play around with the color, you can just click the little dropper and kind of just like move things around and find the exact color that you want. Or if you have, you know, custom brand colors that you're using, you can put those in here and then just use your brand color. And then we also have some other options at the bottom here. I don't typically use the filters one, but we have things like transform if you want to like hover over it and have a transformation happen. I don't typically use that, but you can also do like an animation where it like will fade in, and different options there. Can get real crazy, do a roll. But yeah, there are all these different options that you can do and like different things you can play around with. So if we're going to say this is an About Me page, let's do that. And then I'm going to highlight this and change the text to be heading 1. I'm going to put this left aligned, and that's all I'm going to do here. And then when we come over to the text that we want to adjust, we would want to come down to heading text, because again, when I put in this About Meg, I changed that to heading 1, so that's what we need to target in order to change. So if I click over heading text, you'll see all these different tabs, and we just want to make sure that we're on H1, because if you're not, you could be on H2 and make all these changes, but nothing is going to reflect any changes because you're not on H1. So you have to make sure that that's where you're at when you're doing these sort of design changes. So again, we can change the size, do like a little background, let's not. And you can also change the font. I don't care for the way that the Divi fonts load. They honestly take forever. Or if you have your own fonts that you have purchased, you can upload them here. But the Divi fonts, you literally have to scroll over every single one in order to see what they are. I actually have a little cheat sheet downloaded. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. And this has a list of all the fonts and what they look like, so you can quickly see without having to wait for them to load. So you can like check which one you want and then come over here and just scroll to it or search for it. We'll just go ahead and leave the default now. And we can, let's see, should be able to center that there, but you can center it here and come down. Do all these different changes. Let's get rid of the border. Get rid of the box. And we can go ahead and make a color background here. So let's go with an orange kind of color. That one there looks good. And then we can go ahead and go to our section and put in a background image, just one that we already have pre-populated here. And then you can see how that looks there. Obviously this background now doesn't go, but that is just an example of showing you how you can make some changes to things, and you can play around with these and kind of get them to match. Maybe, maybe not. That's fine. Then we can come back over to our text and we can change this and say we want to make that white and say that we are good with this top section. Now to continue to build, what you would do now is click on the little blue plus sign and we're going to add in a whole new section. So I typically just choose regular, and then again we're going to decide what we want to use. So let's do 50-50, and let's say we want to put an image on this side and we want to put text on this side. So we can do that and then come over to the little wheel, click on that, and we can select an image. Okay, come over to design and we can center that image there, and then click on the wheel and go ahead and let's just duplicate that to make it a little bit bigger, and then I want to put in kind of like a little heading up here on top of that text. So what I'm going to do is hover over this box and click the gray plus sign to add a new module, and it's going to be another text module. So you can do it like that, or what you can do is just hover over it, and because we're going to add in another text module, what we already have, you can just click these little two little tool module icon, and that is the duplicate module, or like the duplicate button, and you can click that and it's just going to duplicate it for you. So now I can click here and I can go ahead and type in some heading here, and I can make it H2, and let's center it. A little bit bigger, and we can move this around, come back to H2 and make that black, make it a little bit bigger if we wanted to, and call it a day here. And then let's go ahead and add in like a little line underneath this section, this little heading. So now we're just going to come over to the module again and press the plus button. Come down to divider and you'll see a little line pop up. Go over to the design tab and click line, and let's just leave it this color. Go down to sizing, and this is where you can increase like how thick you want the line to be. So just go with 5. I like to come down to the module alignment and click center, and then you can play around with the width and see how you like it. So if we want it to be a little bit smaller, or if we want it to be like the full size, you can do that. Let's leave it full size. And then if we wanted to change the spacing in between these, what we would do is come over to spacing and start to mess around with the spacing options here. Start bringing them up. And this one here, that looks good. And there you go, you have this section here. And then you would just continue to build on top of all of this. So again, click the blue plus button. Go ahead and just click a regular. Say we want to do like 4 across. And now we can see. So now we can see there are 4 different little boxes here, and we can go ahead and just add in little pieces of information. We can do an image here. We can do I would probably just do like an image across, and again, since we're just going to have the same thing, we can duplicate it and drag it over. Again, duplicate and then click the little 4 corners, like 4 arrows, and drag it over, and it'll pop into place. And what we can do is then create a new row that we want to have just be one single row with some text. Okay, change this a little. Obviously you'd want to make sure that your like headings all match and they're all the same size. And here we can just add in a background color. Let's choose this and then play around with it. I don't like those. Let's come to this line, figure out what color this line is. So I'm just going to click on this, copy, and I'm going to come back down to our background color. Click on the background, click on the wheel, and then I'm going to paste in that color here. Cool. Let's see. So then we just want to come in here to the little wheel and select the different images that we want. And I like to make sure that the images are center aligned, even if it seems like it doesn't matter. I just like to make sure that there's no like funny business going on. Obviously you would want to make sure that they all are the same size and things are looking, you know, cohesive, but I'm just choosing random ones here. And let's do this one. Okay, so we have this little section where you can put in all sorts of different things. You know, the options are endless, but you can have like maybe some blog posts here or your services here, and you can either add in like a little button below these items, or you can just link up these images, and you can do that by hovering over the image and clicking the wheel and then scrolling down to where it says link, and you can go ahead and link the URL here, or you can choose this little dynamic content option to the side, and this will show all of your pages, and you can go ahead and click on that page. So if we wanted to link that to the home page, no matter what happens, like say we change the home page like some time from now, this image will always link to whatever the home page is set to. So that's good if you, for whatever reason, like end up changing your URLs and maybe something gets broken. It's good to do that so it will always go to the page that you intend it to go. But another option here is you can add in that button, so we can hover over and choose a plus sign and come down to button. Where is it? There. And we can choose to change the text. So let's say learn more, and then you can choose to put that link there for the button itself. And then come over to the design tab. I like to always make sure it's centered. And then we're going to come down to button, and we're going to turn on the custom styles for button. And here is where you can completely change this entire thing. So I'm just going to make the text a little bit smaller. We can change the button text color, so you can make it white. And then say I want to make the button background black. We can come down to the border width. I don't like any borders. Most of the time I don't like any borders on my buttons, but I have borders on my own, but that's another story. Then we can go ahead and change, if you want a border, you can, so say you want a border, you can actually change the border color to make it different. I don't want a border. Then we can change the border radius. I typically like them to be square, like not rounded. If you want it to be rounded, you can do that. Go ahead and like, you know, play with that and see how you like it. I like mine to be square. And then you can even change the font. So say we want to use this one, you can change the style, make it bold. No, it's not going to change to lowercase because it was entered in all uppercase. If you If you enter it in lowercase, you can use these options here, where'd it go, to like change it, like if we want to put it in all capitals, or if we want to just like, you know, put it to lowercase. You can use those options here if you enter your text in lowercase. If you enter it in capitals, it won't do anything because that's how it was entered. So just keep that in mind. The show button icon, that's going to be when you hover over the button and you can see that little arrow that pops up. You can choose which icon you'd like. I typically like this little arrow one if I'm doing icons. Most of the time I don't like to do the icons, so you could just turn that off if you don't want them, and then nothing will happen. Another really great thing here for the buttons is the ability to change the hover. So if we come over to, like most of the time I'll use this for the background color or for the text color. So if we come back over to button text color and we see all these little options here, we can click on the arrow and that's going to be the hover. So we have the desktop version and then we have the hover version. And right now they're the same because we didn't change anything. But if we wanted to change this, I can choose on hover for the button text color to be black. And then if I scroll down, I can come down to the button background, scroll over to the hover, and then I can choose for the button background color on hover to be white. So now we have the desktop version is black with white writing, and then if we hover, it's going to be white with black writing. So that is how you do that. If you wanted to move this button up a little bit, we can work on the spacing here, and we can pull that up and get that to overlap and mess around with those. You'll always want to check and see what things are looking like on tablet and mobile as well. So if we come down to the bottom menu, you'll see just a purple circle with three little dots, and then if you click it, you'll have all these other options expand. And we can come over to the bottom left and you'll see some different icons. So we have a desktop, a tablet, and then a mobile device. So if we click on tablet, we can see what it would look like on a tablet. And then for mobile, it's going to redo itself, and we can see what it would look like on mobile. So that's pretty cool that they have that option to see the different devices. You do also always want to check on your own phone and your own device because sometimes they are not accurate, but it'll give you a good starting point at least to see, you know, if you're even in the right realm of the like proper layout and things, and you want to make sure that things are looking decent. But again, I always check on my own phone. So that is kind of like the basics to Divi. If you want to build something from scratch, of course you can get even more advanced. This is just kind of like a beginner like intro to everything that Divi can do at a very beginner level. So let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see what you get up to just from poking around and trying out new things. And hopping back in really quickly to share that you always want to make sure that you save everything that you do after you're done with Divi. The software does not auto-save, so you have to make sure that you save everything. Sometimes it will like pretend like it's saving and look like it's doing something, but I never trust that. I always just like to save as I go. So once you're done with everything, you can choose to publish your page, which means it's going to be live and viewable to the public, or you can save as a draft, and you'll see the little wheel start to spin, and you want to make sure that that is good and you get a check mark, and then you can come up to the center and choose Exit Visual Builder, and then you're all done and you have your website your page that you were working on all done and ready for you.